Reports from Japan are saying that the nuclear meltdown there is approaching the severity of Chernobyl and could actually exceed it. The son of Muammar Gaddafi is claiming that the fighting in Libya will be over in 48 hours. And Israel has intercepted an Iranian shipment of weapons on its way to Hamas. We'll discuss the implications of all these developments today on politics and religion.
Look, there are two things I don't discuss: politics and religion.
In my house, we don't talk about politics and we don't talk about religion.
I'll talk to you about anything except politics and religion.
I never talk about politics and religion.
Politics determines how we'll live here on earth. Religion determines how we'll live forever. I'm Irvin Baxter. I think it's time we talk about it.
Needless to say, the world is in massive turmoil today, and we want to pause for a while to talk about the prophetic implications of what's going on around the world. We've got the situation in Japan. The reports are coming in now that there's nothing to stop a total meltdown. A report has come from the United States government, or at least from officials from the U.S., stating that one of the reactors has gone totally dry. When that happens, it's just a matter of time until you hit total meltdown. If the reactor area is not submerged in water to keep the rods cool, it's simply going to melt down, and they claim that it's dry. They can't get to it to supply water because the radiation is too high. Already there are those in Japan that have become famous. They've been called by several special names. One is the Fukushima 50. They are people who almost certainly are signing their own death warrants. It's almost like they're on a suicide mission to go in, and really the word 50 there is a little deceptive. They go in teams of 50. There's a total of about 180 of them. They go in for a while, then they're relieved. They're on a schedule. They're going in there. I mean, you've got to talk about people who are heroes attempting to save the nation of Japan and the world from another Chernobyl. And by the way, this is not strictly confined to Japan. It is going to have an effect on the entire world, very possibly, if it hits its full strength. They're saying that this will be as bad as Chernobyl, if not worse. So the implications are vast. In the meantime, we've got the report that the Iranian government smuggled arms into Syria, switched those arms to other ships. Ultimately, we're planning on taking those to Hamas. Now, these were the two warships that Iran brought through the Suez Canal that got a lot of press here a couple of weeks ago. Well, they had arms. They were smuggling arms to Hamas, but they were doing it in such a way that Israel wouldn't find out. Somehow Israel did find out. They stopped the ship that the arms were transferred to and took control of that ship and found some very sophisticated anti-aircraft rockets that were being delivered to Hamas. So Israel has absolute proof that Iran is supplying equipment, military arms to Hamas to be used against the nation of Israel. So really, there's already a war going on. It just hasn't blown up in all of its glory. And then in the meantime, of course, we then have the situation with Libya, with Muammar Gaddafi, and reports are coming from him, from his son at least. They expect the fighting to be over in 48 hours. In the meantime, the international community is attempting to pass a no-fly zone against Muammar Gaddafi. However, it looks like by the time they get around to it, that particular civil war, or whatever you call that activity, will be over. So what's all this, what's going on here? What do we make of this? Let's just talk for a moment before we go into any more detail about how all these things affect what the Bible prophesies for the future. First of all, World War III. We know the Bible specifically prophesies a war from the Middle East. It will come from the area of the Euphrates River, and this is not Armageddon. This is the sixth trumpet war spoken of in Revelation chapter number 9, verse number 13 through 21. And this war will happen before the Great Tribulation. It appears that this war could happen at any moment. I think it's the next major prophetic fulfillment on God's time clock. So when this war comes, and the thing we have to remember is it will result in the killing of 1/3 of mankind. Every time I say that, it's like I've got to stop a moment and just catch my breath, because it's so huge that you can't hardly wrap your mind around it. When you talk about over 2 billion human beings right now in Japan, they're expecting the count from the earthquake, from the tsunami, and now from the radiation to exceed 25,000 fatalities in the nation of Japan. It's a terrible disaster they're dealing with, but 25,000 is a drop in the bucket compared to 2.3 billion that are prophesied in the Bible for this war that's going to emanate from the Euphrates River area. We're seeing all the conflict now, whether you're talking about Libya, whether you're talking about Saudi Arabia sending troops into Bahrain, as well as other nations sending troops into Bahrain to put down the demonstrations there, because Saudi Arabia knows if Bahrain tumbles, then she's next. So Saudi Arabia decided now's the time to stop all this. Washington is complaining. What did we expect them to do? Did we expect them to just allow the demonstrations to go on until the momentum would build in such a way that it would topple the government? Apparently we did, because we have directly criticized what Bahrain has done. Apparently we have designs on Bahrain, on Saudi Arabia. The United States is making its move to try to control the entire Middle East. Will we accomplish that? It doesn't look like that we will, according to the prophecies in the Bible, even though we certainly got behind the revolution that took place in Egypt. We called for Mubarak to step down, even though he had been a loyal friend of ours, all in the name of democratization. Is this really what's going to happen? Well, I'll tell you what's going to happen. All of this turmoil in the Middle East right now, all of the turmoil right now is leading us straight to the war of Revelation 9, 13 through 21. Open your Bible, read it for yourself. Just read one verse, Revelation 9, 15. That's where it says 1/3 of mankind will be killed. If you want to see where it says that it will all start from the area of the Euphrates River, go to verse 14. So read verse 14 and 15. And it says the war will start from the Euphrates River area, which is mostly in Iraq, but it's Iraq, Iran, it's the Euphrates River basin. The Euphrates River is the principal water source of the Middle East. So the war will start there. It will result in the killing of 1/3 of mankind. That almost certainly means the United States will be involved. We have 230,000 troops in the Euphrates River basin right now. So the United States of America is going to be involved. It will be much more massive to us than the present nuclear problem is to Japan. This world is headed for unprecedented turmoil. And you say, well, what do we do? There's one safe place, and that's in Jesus Christ. There's a scripture in the Bible that says the name of the Lord is a strong tower, and the righteous run into it, and they are safe. Really, there's no safe place in the world outside of Jesus Christ. The reports are coming in that potassium iodide pills are being sold at unprecedented levels, even here in the United States of America. It appears that the Surgeon General even said it's not a bad idea to have them, although you don't need them right now. Yet we know that the radioactivity that's being spewed into the air right now by the reactors in Japan, and by the way, there are 5 or 6 of them, being spewed in the air right now. The wind is blowing it out over the ocean toward the west coast of the United States of America. How much of it will reach us? I do not know. How long will it take to get here? I don't know. But there are people in California who are very concerned that that radioactivity will hit the western shores of the United States of America. So that's part of what's going on today. And it's boiling on every side, every way we turn. The possibility of conflict in the Middle East between Israel and Iran is very real because of Israel stopping the ships and discovering the weaponry that Iran was shipping to Hamas. That just happened within the last 24 to 48 hours. So it's from every side right now. And could 2011 bring us the war that's prophesied about in Revelation chapter 9? It certainly could. I'm not predicting that. I hope it doesn't. But the way things are moving right now, almost anything could happen. Just a few things could spiral out of control, and we could be in a full-fledged confrontation. So those are some of the things that are happening today. We will be taking your calls. Now, there's 3 prophecies really pending here. One is World War III. Number 2 is the confirmation of the covenant, because lurking behind World War III, I should say, lurking behind World War III is the prophecy of a Middle East peace agreement. And we also know that the Palestinian Authority is claiming that they will unilaterally declare themselves to be a nation by September of this year. Well, September is not that far away. Let me see, where are we right now? We're in March. So we're 6 months away from when Mr. Mahmoud Abbas claims that the Palestinian Authority will declare the Palestinian state in 1967 borders, and there are many nations of the world that are ready to buy into it. Some of them already have recognized the existence of the Palestinians, and many people think they would be voted into the United Nations by September. So Mr. Netanyahu is concerned about it. He's thinking about putting forth his own peace plan, and at the same time, right now, the world's attention is focused on Japan. The world's attention is focused on Libya and the outcome of that there. So it's boiling on every front, and sitting at the steering wheel with all this is a man by the name of Mr. Barack Obama, the President of the United States of America. How skilled is he? We know that he served one short term in the Senate. Before that, he was a community organizer. And yet here he sits trying to lead the mightiest nation on earth in managing these global crises. Japan is asking us for help to stop the meltdown of their nuclear facilities that are on fire as I speak to you today. We are already sending workers there as I speak right now. People still, the Japanese government has not been able to get to people who were killed in the tsunami that came pouring in, because they're so desperately trying to manage the crisis that was produced by the earthquake, by the tsunami. There's people out there that may still be alive, but the search parties cannot get to them. The roads are blocked. Supplies are not there. There's no food to eat. And now it's snowing. To add to the top of all those problems, there are people who fear that the snow will be filled with radioactivity. So it's problem on top of problem on top of problem right now. I'd like to ask you to join me in your daily prayers for the people of Japan. They are going through a horrible experience right now, the most serious problem they faced since the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in World War II. That's where everything is in the world right now. We'll take your calls when we get back.
Every Monday at 9 p.m. Central on the Church Channel and at 10 p.m. Central on Daystar, Irvin Baxter presents End of the Age. End of the Age is a 30-minute program which gives intricate details about how Bible prophecy is not only true, but also how it lines up so perfectly with events going on in the world right now. Don't miss one End of the Age program every Monday at 9 p.m. Central on the Church Channel and at 10 p.m. Central on Daystar. Visit endtime.com for more details or call 1-800-ENDTIME.
When you think about Bible prophecy or the end of the world, what comes to mind? War, destruction, famine, disease, 666, mark of the beast, antichrist, false prophet, 4 horsemen, trumpets, seals, and vials. What about 2012? How does all of this affect you as a teenager in today's world? Those are all good questions, but the thing to remember is that Bible prophecy was not put here for us to be afraid of it, but for us to know what is to come. When I was a kid, I used to pretend that I could see the future and predict